Hello, everyone. I'd like to go ahead and call this meeting to order for the City of Indio Planning Commission for February 28, 2024 at 6:01 p.m. If we could please have roll call.
Commissioner Rodriguez Ceja,
Present.
Commissioner Isiano,
Present.
Commissioner Fajardo,
Present.
Vice Chairperson Lopez is absent today. Chairperson Franz,
Present. Thank you. We'll go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance, and Gabriel, if you don't mind leading us, thank you. Thank you. And now we'll go ahead and open the public comment for items not on the agenda. Do we have any requests to speak?
there are none.
I'll go ahead and close the public comment section then. Move on to item number 4, public hearing items. Number 4.1, if we could please get a staff report. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. Kendra Reeve, Principal Planner. Tonight I'm going to be presenting tentative parcel map number 38791. The project is proposing to subdivide a 2.0151 acre parcel of land into 2 separate parcels of land located at 50825 Los Palos Road. Assessor parcel number 779-100-0330, and determining that the proposed project is categorically exempt from environmental review pursuant to CEQA Section 15051, the common sense exemption of the California Environmental Quality Act. We can move forward without the presentation. It's just a parcel map, so it's not super
I would like to pull it up though, because the
Okay.
the property's kind of in a, it's
Yes.
pushed back behind Terralago? Is that where this one
It's
is?
near Trilogy.
Neil Trilogy. Wrong
Yes.
one. I knew
Yeah.
what I meant.
Same large
Same
community.
difference. What's the
both
difference?
with a T.
Yeah. Okay, there it is.
So as I said, it's tentative parcel map number 38791. The applicant is Mr. Scott Ayers, who is available virtually for any questions at the conclusion of my presentation. The project is located at 50825 Los Palos Road. The current general plan designation is Desert Estates, and the current zoning designation is Desert Estates 1. This is the proposed project location, which is located on the southwest side of Los Palos Road and Zenda Drive. That neighboring community you can see in the map is Trilogy. The project site includes a single-family home that's currently under construction, located on Parcel B. Parcel A is currently undeveloped and has been previously graded. In the existing site consists of compacted sandy soils and minimal vegetation. The surrounding properties share a similar general plan zoning designation and general plan designation and zoning designation. The project is compliant with the City of Indio General Plan 2040 and the Unified Development Code. The project is compliant with the Subdivision Map Act, and with the application of relevant conditions of approval, the project can be approved. Conditions of approval are binding and must be adhered to. I'm available for any questions that you guys may have, as well as the applicant who is available via Zoom.
Okay, thank you very much. Have any questions of staff at this time? Nothing? I've got a couple. Can you pull the map back up?
Yeah.
That shows the when I was looking at this, where do they actually enter from? Do they come through Trilogy?
Yes.
Or what? Okay, so they have some type of agreement then with Trilogy that these homeowners that are, I guess, behind Trilogy, kind of, sort of,
Yeah, correct.
enter and use the gates.
There's an existing agreement with Trilogy that all of those properties that are located behind Trilogy, for residential purposes, they're able to travel through the community.
Okay.
Anything or any special events that they may have, because I know historically there have been properties that utilize these residential dwellings for events, parties, things of that
Short-term
nature.
rentals, whatever. Mhm.
Yeah, they have to get approval from the Trilogy HOA in order to access those properties for those purposes.
Okay, so the agreement is solely for the personal use of either the renters or the homeowners that are living on the property?
Correct.
The rest they have to get permission from?
Yeah, anything that would require a temporary use permit, they have to get approval from the Trilogy HOA.
Okay, I was just curious, I was thinking, how do they do that?
Yeah.
Okay, the other map you put up that actually showed like where that house is being laid out, I'm sure it's gonna be a gorgeous house. Is the setback, because I'm assuming they're gonna build a wall between the two properties, and that's a pretty big house, right? When you talk about the outdoor living space plus the house. I'm assuming that the setback, from wherever the wall is gonna be, which is, for us who are not planners, kinda hard to see on here, is enough. There's gonna be enough room for the setback rules.
Yes, so the proposed lots that will result from the subdivision meet the requirements for the lot size and standards per the Unified Development Code, and any proposed development on any of those resultant parcels will need to come back to the city in order to achieve approval. So if they were to outline something that had those walls in place and they didn't meet our standards, planning
be
would
sent
deny
back.
it, and then they would have to resubmit.
Okay, that sounds good. I just wanted to make sure, because, I mean, they are supposed to be 1 acre lots. That's what the DE1 means. So this
Yeah.
can't be subdivided any further.
Correct.
This is it.
Correct.
Okay. All right, those were my only questions for staff at this time. We'll go ahead and open the public hearing and see if the applicant has anything he wants to say, or if we have questions for the applicant.
Yeah, this is Scott. I don't have anything further, but open for any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Do we have any questions of the applicant? No? Do we have any requests from the public to speak on this item?
There are none.
Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public comment. And we can ask more questions of staff or deliberate, or I'm willing to entertain a motion.
I have a question. Maybe it's left for later. I was going through the Unified Development Code for this particularly, and it seems like whatever version I have, the subdivision regulations are not on that draft. I had to go to. So, is there a most updated version? You just said that it's on the Unified Code.
Yeah, so they're, the subdivision map act, let me get the section number for you, and then I can email you a copy of that section as well.
Great, because I'm going back to our old, not so fun code.
Yeah, it's Government Code Section 66473.5, and then I can email that to you as well.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Kendra.
Do I have a motion or any more questions?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2085.
I'll second.
Okay, we can have roll call, please.
Commissioner Rodriguez Ceja,
Yes.
Commissioner Isiano,
Yes.
Commissioner Fajardo,
Yes.
Chairperson Franz,
Yes.
motion carries.
Go ahead now and move on to item 4.2.
The applicant, David Eisen, and the Coachella Valley Vector Control is proposing to subdivide 3 existing contiguous parcels totaling 25.45 acres into 16 parcels. Parcel 1 is 9.03 acres in size. Parcels 2 through 16 will range in size from 0.55 acres to 1.32 acres in size. The project is located south of Interstate 10 in the Whitewater Storm Channel and north of Indio Boulevard at 43420 Trader Place, Indio, California. The tentative track map is for vesting purposes only and does not propose any new development at this time. Any new development that may be associated with any of those resultant parcels will need to come back before the Planning Commission in order to obtain approval.
Okay. Do we have a map that we could look at?
Yes,
Okay,
I'll click
thanks.
over to that. So the current general plan for this area is Workplace Employment District, and the current zoning is heavy industrial. For reference, this is the vicinity map. This is the proposed track map. The project is compliant with the City of Indio General Plan 2040 and the Unified Development Code. The project is compliant with the Subdivision Map Act. With the application of relevant conditions of approval, the project can be approved, and conditions of approval are binding and must be adhered to. And then the applicant is here in person for any questions, and I'm available to answer any questions as well that you guys may have for staff.
Okay, thank you, Kendra. Do we have any questions of staff at this time? No? Okay, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing, and we can invite the applicant up if he'd like to present, or we can see if anybody has any questions. Mm-mm. Okay. Do we have anyone else from the public to speak?
There are no comments.
Do we have any questions of the applicant? Nope. All right, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and move on to deliberations or questions of staff. Do we have anything? Nope. Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll go ahead and motion that we approve resolution number 2086, recommending the conditional approval of case file number 230326 to the City of Indio City Council.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Rodriguez Ceja,
Yes.
Commissioner Isiano,
Yes.
Commissioner Fajardo,
Yes.
Chairperson Franz,
Yes,
motion carries.
thank you very much. Looking forward to see what gets built out there. Thank you.
Keep up the great work out there, gentlemen.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and move on to action items. Do we have any?
No, we do not.
Okay. Any study session items?
Not at this time.
Okay, commissioners' comments.
I guess it's more of a general question or a suggestion. If we could get an update on where we are. I know there was a few studies that we were working on that there's been a lot of work, there's been a lot of stalling, but it'd be great just to get an update now that the year is full on, in motion. Thank you. And so, yeah, that's my general comment. And then I guess a selfish plug-in, I'd like to invite everyone out this Saturday, March 2nd, to the Mecca Sports Complex. I'm involved with a group an organization that's doing its first Shade Master Equity Plan, or Shade Equity Master Plan. As you know, I'm here. Shade is a big deal for me, and this is actually going to be the first of its kind in the world. It's the first rural master plan being created for this purpose, the fourth in the world. So very exciting stuff. Would love to see our Indio community come out there and support the East Valley in this endeavor that I think will be impactful for neighboring cities to come. So thank you. It's going to be at 10 a.m. Yeah.
Any other comments? Nope. So I have something I'd like to bring up, and hopefully I can get some consensus from the commissioners. So as we continue to build and build up in our city, right, to me, it's very important that we look at the impact that those types of buildings, whether they're affordable or not, doesn't really matter. I just want to have the community understand that these are important items for us. And some of them, to me, is to try to protect either the privacy of existing single-family residences in the surrounding areas, and also, I know we cannot protect views, right? But at least create the privacy so there is some, either whether it's greenery, which we love, whether it's trees or something to protect the privacy and also block some of the impact that these really large buildings are going to really change the landscape of our city. And they're popping up all over, and they're probably going to continue to do that. So I think it's important that we consider amending or adding an amendment to all of our plans, the general plan, the downtown specific, the Highway 111, to let people know that these are a priority for us. And so when developers are looking, that they're not surprised when we ask them that, either when they come before us to talk about it or when they come with the plan. We want them to know that these are things that we're going to be asking for. But my understanding, this has to be something that staff writes the language. We accept it, approve it, and recommend approval to City Council, because it has to go to them, correct? So I would like to
Correct.
see if I get a consensus to ask staff to do that, and sooner instead of later, just because I know that there's tons of stuff happening.
And quick question, would that be to help to mitigate some of the public safety concerns, as you noted, in addition to possibly looking at opportunities that perhaps prior to it coming to us, that there's another second level of, okay, let's work with the team, a project manager, if you will, sort of opportunity to really kind of further discuss some of those concerns that you raised. I can see that as a very viable option for us. Plus, it helps educate, I think, us, in addition to having possibly folks from staff here. I would encourage us, probably somebody from IPD possibly, or even the fire marshal as an example, that can help probably answer questions should those come up.
And the safety is, to me, is another request that I wanted to have, because that was something that came up, recently on one of our projects that we just approved. But this is to just basically say and let the public know that this is important to us, and it's gonna be something that we're gonna be discussing. So instead of waiting till they've spent probably tens of thousands of dollars on planning and design, that again, they're looking at our general plan and all of our plans and saying, this is gonna be our priority, so why don't we look at it before they get in front of us? Can come already with some ideas on things that they're willing to do instead of waiting till they come to us.
And another,
Adam-
Is Jillian? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's
I'm
on.
curious. Yeah, Jillian, your take, because I know one of the things that was covered last week was sort of the very limited conditions that we can add to the types of development that was in front of us. And so I don't want us to create also the idea that we can control these. This would only be for certain types of developments. Jillian, do you mind?
Yeah, so I wanted to speak up. Number one, I believe in this instance, what you're describing would require an amendment to the Unified Development Code. In addition to, I know you were describing some of the specific plans, but I just wanted to make that comment first and foremost. And secondarily, even the existence of these requirements within our code are not going, I believe it is absolutely a step in the right direction in terms of, again, as the chairperson well described, setting expectations and indicating the community's interest in both privacy and I don't think it's not view protection, but I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the exact wording, but I know what we're describing. And so just to be clear, we can make those amendments if you, of course, have a consensus vote. I think it might be appropriate to vote to place this item as a discussion item on a future agenda in order to clarify exactly what you're seeking from staff, because if you make the motion now to amend the Unified Development Code and these specific plans, we don't know exactly what the direction is. And so I don't want to come back, with language that was not exactly what you had in mind. I think that might be a good next step or intermediary step if the commission is open to that suggestion.
I'm sure that makes sense. I mean, I know that we, especially for certain types of projects, we can't mandate certain things, and I understand that. But I also think that if we are able to do this, it at least tells the community that we are watching this and that we understand the importance and that we're going to do everything we can within the things that we can do, right? And my big concern is if we're going to put it on a future agenda and I get it to kind of, weed this out and get the right language, I don't want this to be 6 months down the road. Do you know what I mean? I really would like to see it on an agenda in the next few weeks, if at all humanly possible, because I know by the time we go through it, we kind of hash it out, staff writes it, it comes back to us, we then recommend to council. I mean, we'll be lucky if this gets done in 3 to 6 months, right? Even at what I call lightning speed, right? So that was my concern. If I can get consensus to ask staff to do this and to put it on the agenda, I'd like to do it sooner instead of later.
I will consult with Kevin and see realistically the quickest we can do. I know we do have our city council and planning commission schedule booked through March, but I can see if he would be open to adding it to the March 13th agenda. Because currently the only thing we have on that agenda, it's subject to change, but currently the only thing we have slated for that is a project consultation for an affordable housing project. So maybe we could add it to there just to start the discussion, to outline what you guys want to be seeing and to make sure that we are understanding everything in order to put together those proposed amendments for you guys to see.
And if you don't mind, I wanted to clarify one thing. The last meeting, we were really deep into the discussion of affordable housing, and I wanted to be clear that should this motion pass and should we make the amendments to the appropriate governing documents, those standards would apply to any other type of development. So, when we're discussing the strictures associated with state mandated housing, in particular low income housing, there are I apologize, but restrictions to the restrictions that we can place on those developments. And so, but to be clear, number one, should this amendment proposal pass, those items would be unenforceable against other types of developments. And then on a secondary note, I know that the planning department, the community development department is very, very busy. If the commission is open to a kind of a short or cursory type of staff report associated with that discussion item. So essentially just really kind of describing what this motion was and potentially giving just a quick background on what the existing provisions are. That may be appropriate given the short timeline that you guys are looking for this item to be placed on the agenda. And just to set expectations, as well as the fact that, you have an idea of what you want to discuss. It's an item that's coming forward from the commission. So I think if the commission is open to that, it might make it a bit easier for staff to bring the item back on a shorter term basis. And I would never speak for the community development department in terms of their timeline and agenda heaviness, but I just wanted to kind of make that point really quickly as well.
So thanks, Jillian, for that. And also, I feel like if we're going in the direction of a report, what would be really helpful is to understand what types of developments would have this type of problem. Because my understanding is that even in the 111 corridor, when we were changing the density and adding these high rises, as we get closer to the single-family homes, the zoning requirements change so that you don't have this problem. And so I'm worried that if we go down this route of changing the Unified Development Code for this, it might not necessarily be a larger issue, because if the problem is, or not the problem, if what we were faced last time was that we cannot add these restrictions to these types of developments, but no other type of development would encounter this problem, right? So maybe if that's the direction,
Sure,
just to understand.
We can talk about it, bring that back. I mean, there's so many rules in place, right? But I think even if the language were just, and I don't think anywhere in our, because when I talked to staff after when this all came up, I don't think anywhere in our uniform code does it specifically say things like, what I was looking for is if we're going to have a large project that's close, okay, and even if it's following the rules, nowhere does it ask for a line of sight, right? And to me, if you're putting a large building, even if it's within the rules, for the average person, they don't understand building, right? They don't see it. But if we had a report from the developer that included a line of sight that showed, I know you're fine, people can't see into your backyard, this is how it works, right? It would be helpful for the public to be able to have a little clearer understanding, and for us to add some things that should come to us with these larger developments, because they're not all going to be affordable, right? They're going to be all sorts of stuff. And I'm more than happy. I did a little research, and again, I'm not a planner, so trust me, I'm right up front. I don't understand the language very well, but I can, look at some of the things that caught my attention. Be more than happy to take snippets of it and send it to you guys and say, these are the kind of things I think we need to be looking for, and maybe that would help.
Yeah, so just to Commissioner Rodriguez-Ceja's point, we do have those transitional zones in the Highway 111 corridor specific plan that really aims to try to prevent that issue from happening. of having these large-scale projects right next to single-story homes. So we do have those transition zones. Again, for affordable housing projects, we are very limited to what we can and cannot require. But if that's something that you guys are interested in seeing, potentially Unified Development Code, we can bring that information and written text from the Highway 11 Corridor Specific Plan and bring it to that next meeting that we have. Line of sight studies, as you mentioned, are not currently required by the city. So if that's something that you guys want to explore further, that's something that we could discuss and get on the agenda as well. But just to Jillian's point, Commissioner Rodriguez Seja's point, it is a bit difficult with more of the affordable ones, but I can understand the desire to explore that further for market rate apartments as well.
Okay, do I have a motion or consensus to ask staff to work on this for us?
I'd like to motion that we consider that as a staff analysis.
Yes, I'll second.
Okay, everybody in favor?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, we have consensus. You want a roll call? Or we don't need it, right?
No, it's okay.
Okay.
I did have one question though, just to go back to some of the studies that staff is supposed to be working on. I was just wondering if you guys could maybe vote on the priority for these, because I know we have the gas station one, exploring that. We have the storage facility moratorium that we're actually requesting to get an extension on. It's going to council on March 6th for that extension request, just because we haven't had the time, unfortunately, to look into that a bit further. So if you guys want to kind of make a determination or vote on the priority in which we work on these things, that would be helpful for us, just so we can kind of start to create a schedule for that.
All of the above?
I know.
Sorry, I really couldn't help myself. I'm like, you know, I don't know how we really, those are all very important, and I'm sure
Of
that there
course.
is items in the pipeline that affect all of those, right?
Yeah.
And the moratorium on the storage. I mean, I hope council will give us more time on the storage. I
Yeah.
mean, if they do, I could definitely bump that one down if we had a little more time. Gas stations are important, and I think that the height of buildings and how it impacts surrounding areas, I think that's very important. So if we get the extension, I definitely bump the storage one down.
If we get the extension, I believe it would be extended until, I want to say July 1st would be our deadline for that. So,
And is there only like a certain amount of times we can extend that deadline, right? We're like up against, yeah.
When's
Yeah,
how many
as
more
it-
extensions?
excuse me, as an urgency ordinance / moratorium, there are restrictions upon the number of times and the period of time that it can be extended. I would need to review all of the information in order to give you exact timelines. I can just tell you off the top of my head that there are very specific restrictions in terms of extensions of this nature. And again, I think it's safe to assume that if we were able to extend it for longer than just through July 1st, that we would do so. And that's an assumption I'm making, but I'm aware, having dealt with issues of this nature before, that there are legal restrictions placed upon extensions as such. So
Okay, so maybe.
I apologize for
No
interceding.
problem. I think
Want
that's
to
great. So maybe the idea is, you guys know your schedule. I mean, you know how much stuff you've got on your plate. You know what needs to be done. Those three are all very important. So maybe you guys come back to us and tell us what's your bandwidth.
realistic?
Yeah, what's
Yeah.
realistic, and
Okay.
then at least we can set our expectations, right? And I'm not thinking it's coming back in March and it doesn't show up till August, right? Kind of thing.
Right.
Because I understand you guys got a lot of work.
Yeah.
You know, so I understand that. Okay, I had one more item, and it does go back to the last project. So I asked the question, and unfortunately I couldn't attend the meeting, about the second entrance for emergencies. And I've been on the planning commission for a few years, and we've been discussed over and over and over again that there has to be two entrances and exits in case of an emergency, right? If there's a fire and one gate is blocked, that there's always another gate, whether it's just an emergency entrance or a general use entrance. And for the last project, that was not, the fire department said it was not needed. So I'm not gonna say that I'm smarter than the fire department, okay? But I would really like to understand, and I would like, because the report that we got didn't answer the question. So for me to be able to look at projects going forward, I would like to understand the fire department's guidelines. When is a single entrance okay, and why is other projects require two regardless of anything else? So it's kind of like, I would like to have an understanding, so when we get these projects, I'm not going, where's the second entrance? You know, and then I'm trying to figure it out in the few days that we have between when the agenda's released and we have a meeting. So I know that that's gotta go to the fire department, but maybe they can come and
Yeah,
just explain it to us.
Yeah, I can invite the Office of the Fire Marshal staff to come out and just kind of explain their overall review process, how they make their determinations for projects, what their policies and requirements are for certain projects, just so you guys can have a better understanding of their analysis and their decision-making process.
Right.
So I can invite him out and definitely see when he can come out and discuss those items
Perfect,
with
that
you
would be
guys.
great, because I really just, I don't wanna be questioning this in the middle of a project. I wanna have a better understanding
Of course.
of the protocol, so.
Yeah.
That's all I had, I think that's enough. Anybody else have anything?
No.
Okay, any staff items?
Yes, so we recently just hired a senior management analyst for our Housing and Neighborhood Services Division. So he will hopefully be starting within the next month. So that will be helpful in that arena, since as I'm sure you guys know, Jesus Gomez retired. So we're hoping to get restaffed in that area to get things going a bit more. And then I also wanted to congratulate Nico. He was just recently promoted to an assistant planner.
Yay, Nico, congratulations.
And we are also in the process of hiring another assistant planner. So hopefully we'll have another person on our team soon. And then just to give you guys a breakdown of our schedule for March, as I said, we have the storage facility moratorium extension request going to City Council March 6th. March 13th, we have the Abode Communities project consultation. So that's going to be an affordable housing project that's off of Hoover and Fred Waring. That's immediately behind the Workforce Development Center. I always get that mixed up with our general plan designation. So that's going to be going there. And on March 20th, we have these two map items that will be going before City Council. We have the Bella Vita specific plan removal that you guys voted and approved on a few months ago. That's going to be going before City Council. There was a delay in getting that before Council because we needed to wait the 90 days for SB 18 to pass and ensure that there was no comments from the tribes before formally moving forward with that with Council. And then on the 27th of March, we're going to be bringing forward the planning review for the Riverside County Office of Education and a project consultation for BH property, scale warehousing project, commercial use project, and multifamily housing project off of Avenue 42 and Monroe. I think that might be it for March.
Henry, you said March 13th. It's a planning review?
It's a project consultation.
Consultation.
Yeah,
Okay.
so they're still very early on in their design for the project, and they're hoping to receive some feedback on their site plan, their design features, their color palette, all of those types of things.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, thank you. If there are no other items, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, we're adjourned. See you all on March 13th.